Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today is June 1st, and I am coming to you live because there's something that I have been teasing all of you in my community, all of my followers, about for a little over a week now. Something that I have been working on quite frankly, for months behind the scenes, and I wanted to come here and talk to you. So, first and foremost, if you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Lauren Joyce, founder and creator of The Magnetic Woman, which is a luxury lifestyle brand for women, and I help women step into their embodied feminine leadership through pleasure and owning their sexual power to create the life and the relationships that they truly desire. And this, again, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is truly an invitation, right? It is an opportunity for, quite frankly, a select few of you. So, just to give you a little bit more of like a background in who I am and how I got to be here, I started this journey of the feminine and embodiment almost 10 years ago. And, I was in my mid 20s at the time. I was very much living the life and the path commonly taken, right? Like, went to college, graduated at the top of my class, got a really good job, went back to graduate school for one semester, realized I didn't want to do it, was dating somebody who I knew from high school and we dated throughout college, convinced I was going to marry him, even though, quite frankly, like there was a lot of issues in the relationship, but I assume that that's what you do, right? Like you're in your mid 20s, you should be looking to get married. And I was in a career that I was really, really good at, excelling in, but not really fulfilled, right? But everybody around me and my entire life growing up, women that I saw, they didn't want for more. They didn't yearn for more. And they most certainly didn't have like identities and desires of their own outside of being a wife or being a mother. So again, I assumed this is how my life was going to go, and it was fine, right? Everybody around me seemed complacent and content. That's all that I was really going for and hoping for. And then when I was 25, my dad passed away. And also at the same time, I had this huge fracture in the female friendships that I had from college, which, mind you, none of them were very healthy friendships. They were all very toxic female friendships. But there was this huge fracture, right? Like most of them stopped talking to me, didn't want to engage with me shortly after my dad died. So I felt very alone, very isolated. And I knew I was not equipped to deal with the depth of this loss in a healthy way. I had never experienced loss like that in my entire life. Again, at that point, I was 25 years old, and nobody around me seemed to be able to help me, right? I remember shortly after my dad passed away, talking to other women whose fathers or maybe a parent had passed away when they were in their 20s, and all of them seemed to still be using that loss as a barrier to truly living their life. And a lot of them had a string of failed relationships or marriages in their wake, and quite frankly saying, well, I've never recovered from my father's death, and it has come up and like translated in these ways. So I was clear from moment one. I wanted this loss that I was experiencing to only make me a better person. But I had no idea how that was possible. So fast forward a few months and I'm rereading Regina Thomas Howard's Mama Gina's book, School of Womanly Arts, which I had read months prior to, and I was like, well, okay, whatever, fine, no big deal. And it just so happened Regina was like hosting a call that night about her mastery program that was starting that Friday. And it was like a Monday. So I hop on the call. And something inside of me is like, this is what you need. Now, granted, she's talking about a program which was helping women reclaim pleasure in their lives. And here I was deeply grieving the loss of my father. So I assumed pleasure meant I would have permission to eat chocolate cake every single day, and I could bypass all of these emotions that I was feeling, and that I could just kind of like skip right over to pleasure. So I signed up. Granted, this was like the craziest thing I'd ever done. I never even read The Secret at this point, my loves. Like nothing, right? We're talking like no self development in my background. I had gone to therapy on and off like throughout college, but nothing where it was like the next logical step. This was utterly insane, but I didn't know what else to do. So I jump into Regina's program, and it's day one of her training. And she comes onto stage and she starts talking about the history of the patriarchy and how the feminine and feminine energy has been snuffed out in the world, and how a woman's connection to her power is her connection to her pussy. Now, growing up Catholic, 10 years of Catholic school under my belt, I wanted to run out of the room screaming and never go back. But there was something deep inside of me that was like, this is what you need to hear. And everything she said, everything I experienced in that container was like medicine and nourishment for my soul. Everything that I was like trying to achieve in order to feel fulfilled, none of that mattered because I was receiving this fulfillment that I had never experienced before. So obviously, I stayed there. I stayed in Regina's orbit. I was in her mastermind for the few years following, mentored with her, you name it. And I remember shortly after I finished with her well, I, was in Regina's program, and I decided to start my own coaching business at the same time. And around that time, I wanted something even deeper, right? Again, I grew up with all of this religious programming, Catholic school, all of this religious conditioning. And there I was saddling this idea of like, I've always been told that my sexuality is bad and wrong. And if I express it, it will make me morally bad. And then all of this new information, which again was like a breath of fresh air, telling me that the feminine and sensuality and sexual pleasure and pleasure in general was not only okay, but that it was like my birthright as a woman, that it was my life force for the feminine. And I was trying to make these two things match, right? It was clear I had to throw out the religious conditioning, but then where did that leave me spiritually, right? And at the exact same time, again, I'm dealing with the loss of my father. So I wanted something to anchor into spiritually. I wanted to believe in something, have these big life questions answered in a spiritual realm, but patriarchal religion was not going to cut it, and nothingness wasn't going to cut it, right? So for me, from the beginning, my journey around pleasure, the feminine, sexuality, sexual power, sexual pleasure has been deeply tied and intertwined with feminine spirituality and learning about different cultures, ancient cultures that revered the goddess and the female body, how there were groups of priestesses and specifically sacred sexual priestesses who knew deeply and understood the power and alchemy of sexuality and how to use it for consciousness. And that was their work in terms of a devotion to the divine. I was hook, line, and sinker into this, right? And so I have spent the better part of the last decade really self teaching so much of this stuff, right? Learning myself. I've taken any and every program you can think of. I've done all the certifications with like the top people, mentored with the top people. And I was always looking for a space that brought a lot of this together in a high level, right? I am a woman who comes alive traveling and in Italian villas drinking a beautiful glass of rosé. I'm a woman who feels like it is a religious and devotional experience to be committed to glamour and beauty in my life in all forms. I am a woman who, while learning so much of this esoteric feminine, am deeply grounded and constantly looking at and thinking about, but how the fuck does this apply to my life? How do I take these big, broad, sweeping feminist theology concepts and how do I apply that to like my morning routine or how I move through the world? And again, I've been in this self development industry for 10 years personally and for like 6 plus years professionally. And let's just be honest, hustle culture, dead, gone. Girl boss, boss babe, like, please, I'm throwing up at those words at this point, right? Because they are so overused and typically like wounded masculine energy and just nothing I want to be a part of. And again, I found myself searching for leaders who really embodied the values that I truly believe in and were making fucking bank in the world. Okay? Because say what you want about how the feminine goes against capitalism and how we can transcend needing money. At the end of the day, like a girl's got rent to pay. And I don't know about you, but I love nice things and I want to be able to be the fullest expression of myself in this lifetime. And that requires money right now for the system that we're in, right? And money is power in this world. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, like that's a whole conversation for another day. But when I've been in so many different communities. To me, so much of the feminine spiritual community is deeply disembodied. It's like checked the fuck out, up and out of the body. Let's just basically take the patriarchy and hierarchy and overlay it to goddesses. Nah, thanks, right? Like, I know that my power is in my fucking body and my connection to my pussy. So that one wasn't jiving for me. Then you go into a lot of spaces around pleasure and sensuality. And most of these women were like just perpetuating broke healer mentality and like being afraid to charge and for their services and not really leading in a way that I looked up to. Then you have like feminine business communities or like female entrepreneurs, which are typically so cut off from their bodies and their feminine, no matter what photo shoot in Paris they have. And so I would bop around from these different communities and I would take what I needed from this one, take what I needed from this one, take what I needed from this one, but never feeling fully fulfilled and fully seen. And again, looking at this industry over especially the last like 3 years and the death of hustle culture, plus the massive dark night of the soul that every single woman I know has gone through in the last 2 years in some capacity, what I am seeing, what is clear to me as someone who has this ability to instinctively, intuitively see things that others often cannot is we're moving into the age of not just feminine leadership, where feminine values and the feminine energy is coming more to the front and to fruition, but what I have coined, that's right, hashtag trademarked over here, right? Embodied feminine leadership. Because it's one thing to, again, take patriarchal systems and structures and try and overlay the feminine to it. That's only going to get you so far. This is about creating and cultivating the next wave of leaders, which they are deeply embodied and leading from their feminine. And what I want to share with you, the invitation that I have for you, the reveal that I have for you, is the space for the woman who knows that she is breaking ancestral generational traumas and karmas, right? She is the change maker in her lineage. It's for the woman who wants deep connection within herself and to really step into her legacy in every area of her life. It is for the woman that wants to be guided by the feminine, who wants to lead from the feminine, who wants to feel fully alive and electric, turned on, sensual, but also powerful and fiery. The woman who can go deep within the shadows within herself and transcend to the connection with the divine while staying grounded and in her body, right? This space that I'm calling you into is for the leader who's ready to step so fully into her mission, her legacy, her transmission in the world, and to use an initiation into the feminine like you've never experienced before. It's for the healer, the shaman, the priestess, the witch, the intuitive, the woman who knows her some of her deepest core wounding around being seen and being heard. Once healed, will lead to her greatest gifts in the world. So, what I want to invite you into is a 9-month initiation. Now, I chose 9 months because for the female body, by and large, right, it takes 9 months to physically grow a new life, right? Now, I really don't want to hear that, like, well, technically it takes this many weeks and not everybody. Okay, yes, set all of that aside, right? Like, it takes the female body physically 9 months to grow, to nurture a new life. And what this initiation is you stepping into a new life. It is you stepping into the mature, empowered feminine that has been dying to come out. So it is a 9-month initiation into embodied feminine leadership. And it is called dun, 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 Sovereign. So this is about you claiming your sovereignty in all areas, in your leadership, in your business, with your finances, right? And when I say finances, this is not about like make X amount of money in 90 days. This is about you doing your work in the world and being well fucking paid for it, right? It's about you claiming your sovereignty with your body, with your sensuality, with pleasure, with your sexuality and sexual power. It's about you claiming your sovereignty in your relationships, in all relationships, you claiming your sovereignty across the board. It's an initiation, it's a maturation of the feminine. The majority of women, and specifically female leaders, are walking around so stuck in their wounded little girl. And you might not be in every area of your life, but if you have yet to do the healing, embracing, and celebrating of your sexuality and sexual power, you're still walking around as that wounded little girl. And that's okay because we have not had leaders showing us what it means to be fully expressed in our business, fully expressed in our relationships, and fully expressed in our sexuality in the world. We're told and taught that our sexual expression as women is deeply tied to our morality, so that we're constantly self monitoring. Are we being quote unquote good? When the reality is, our sexuality is truly a way to connect to and honor the divine. And so, for most female leaders out there, you're disconnected and cut off from your bodies. You're shut down and you shove down your emotions. You disregard like past pain and wounding and trauma because you think, well, if I just reach this level of success in my business, if I just get to this point in my relationship, if I just make this amount of money, then everything will be good and feel better. And that never works and it doesn't happen, right? And there's something inside of you that wants to be unleashed, quite frankly, the full expression of yourself. So within Sovereign, it's broken up into 3 sections: the dark goddess, the shadow work, becoming the queen of the underworld, feminine spirituality, reclaiming ancient wisdom through rites, rituals, archetypes, and then the embodied feminine leader, merging the two, being able to go deep within and connect above, right? It is being fully human and fully divine. So, with each of these three sections, we have a luxurious international retreat. So, this is really for the women who love to travel. Even if you like to travel, you might be a little nervous about it. Like, this is for you. If you're like, no thanks, I'm a homebody. I mean, of course, you can still join the program, but I'm someone who loves to travel and loves to soak up that energetic transmission from each place that I'm in. So, our first retreat, which is actually how this 9-month initiation starts, we're going to be in Crete, in Greece. So, we're going to spend 4 days together for each of the retreats. And we're going to do a lot of inner work and coaching and ritual. And we're going to have excursions. So in Crete, we're going to be going to a historical museum about the Minoans and different goddesses. Really, Crete, think of like the primordial goddess, really connecting all the way back to the creatrix. We're going to learn and talk about the shadow, the underworld, right? The dark, the death and rebirth process. Retreat number 2 is on an island off the coast of Mexico, which was originally inhabited only by priestesses. So we're going to be talking all about the divine archetypes, being a priestess, being a shaman, being a healer, learning different rites of passage and rituals to again inspire your unique mission in the world. And then our final retreat, which will be essentially the culmination of our 9-month journey together, is in southern France, where we're going to be sipping on rosé and taking in the sun as we like emerge this embodied feminine leader and take a trip to an excursion to Mary Magdalene's cave. Because for me, Mary Magdalene really is the embodiment of so much of this work. She has taken the scorn of the patriarchy, being labeled a prostitute for 1500 years, which not only was inaccurate, was a way to keep women out of power in terms of religion. But Mary Magdalene was Jesus's female feminine counterpart. She was a priestess in her own right. She was here to deliver her own unique transmission that only a woman could. And she really is the embodiment of, yeah, great question. So the first retreat is the end of September 21st through 24th in Greece. The second retreat is at the beginning of February 2023, and the third retreat is at the end of May 2023. So if you go to themagneticwoman.com/sovereign, or if you're on Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio, Facebook, the link's below. And if you're actually listening to this on my podcast, the link is below as well. And you can go through and read all of the details. So again, it's made up of these three parts: the dark goddess, the underworld, the divine feminine spirituality, and then the embodied leader of the feminine. Yeah, of course. This container is something that, quite frankly, I wish I had 6 years ago. I was yearning for some kind of deep initiation. And before that time, I didn't know much about archetypes. Quite frankly, now I resonate most with the archetype of a priestess. But this program is not a priestess initiation. It is about you tapping into your greatest expression in the feminine. So you might resonate with priestess, you might resonate with shaman or healer or teacher or leader. Quite frankly, it doesn't fucking matter, because this is about you stepping into your legacy with being deeply embodied and leading from the feminine. And there's so many certification programs out there, and there's different kinds of initiations, right? There's like shamanic ones, there's priestess ones, and you might be called to do some of those, or you might be like, I don't want somebody else's framework that I just then go regurgitate, right? And that was something I deeply struggled with as well over the last 6 years. I've taken like, I think I have 12 different certifications at this point, and that doesn't even account for the massive amount of books and courses and learnings and historical documentaries I've watched. Like, I've probably gone through multiple PhD programs with the amount of information I've ingested, just because I'm constantly hungering for more. And, you know, I, again, what I see, where I see us going, is about the embodied feminine leader. And it's less about this guru status or like, I have this certification, therefore XYZ. And in my own journey and in watching like the coaching industry, what will happen is you'll see all these people flood to a certification program, then they all basically become a carbon copy of that, the person leading the certification program, and just regurgitate the information, but it's not embodied. So this is about initiating you through like ancient feminine wisdom, archetypes, rituals, retreats, so that your unique expression shines through. So again, this is a 9-month truly sacred container, and I'm keeping this first round very small. So I say there are only 10 thrones because, again, this is about claiming your sovereignty. It's about you crowning yourself. This is not me having all the answers, being perfect, being the guru, being like, this is the only way to live and the only way to go about it, and I'm giving you a crown. No, this is about you crowning your fucking self, right? So there are 10 thrones available because another part of this program, this container, is a private voice and text thread between me, you, and the other 9 other women, right? So no fucking Facebook group. Ugh. This is like, we're deeply connected. We are on this 9-month journey together. We're going to have 3 calls every month. So the first call of the month is going to be a longer call. It's going to be 90 minutes where we're going to do rituals and embodiment practices and breath work and kind of set the tone for that month or those concepts. Then the following 2 calls will be Q&A. We'll probably do some rituals, some like laser coaching, all of that, and then the 3 retreats. I'm going to be bringing guest experts in as well, and I am so excited about them. So throughout the next few months, since we're not starting until September, you'll see more about the guest experts. I'm going to bring them on, have them do lives and guest training so you get a taste and a flavor for them. So this program, this container, it is by application only. And it's by application only because I want, one, for you to feel really held in this process and supported in saying yes to it. But the woman who is going to thrive in this, she's at a certain point in her life and in her commitments to herself. And she is really able to show up for herself and for the other women. Because one of the things that we're really going to be healing and rewriting throughout the entire 9-month journey together is our sisterhood wound. Like, we're going to really deeply heal that. And so I want to make sure that the women coming into this space in this container are really ready and available for everything that is there. I mean, and we've all been in programs or signed up for things where we're like, oh my God, this is going to be such a great group. And then it hasn't been because, you know, anybody can join and people join and they're not really committed. And then like the dynamic of the group like goes a little wonky. And we don't want that here. Right now, quite frankly, I think that if you're applying for the program, chances are like you are right for it and you will get in. But the application process is also to help you clarify whether or not this is right for you, right? As you dive into the questions on the application, it's like really tuning in with your desire and your edges. So that is it, my loves. I want to welcome you into claiming your own sovereignty through embodied feminine leadership. So again, just go to themagneticwoman.com/sovereign. you can shoot me a private message if you're curious about it and you want to know more. Another thing I'm going to be doing for the rest of June, which I'm super excited about, is I'm coming back live to you every single day. 30 days of Lauren at noon Eastern time here on Instagram and in my Facebook group. Because I've missed being live with you all. I've missed connecting with you in this way. So I want to thank you so much for joining me, for being here for the big reveal. Go check out Sovereign with the link in my bio or the link down below or themagneticwoman.com/sovereign. Shoot me a message if you're interested, but you have some questions or hesitations or reservations. And I'll see you tomorrow at noon, my loves. Have a good day.